This project is for the Virginia War Memorial Shrine of Memory project, and this specific presentation is in remembrance of First Lieutenant Charles K. Butler, who was known by friends and family as Chip or Chippy. Mr. Butler was born on March 30th, 1945, in Albemarle County, Virginia, which is just outside of Charlottesville. He also grew up in Albemarle County, Virginia, and he was extremely fond of the Blue Ridge Mountains that surrounded the county. He said that he was going to build a house on top of them when he was older. And I found a message that was left by a man named Rick Saunders, who was Mr. Butler's neighbor in Charlottesville as they were growing up. He said that Mr. Butler was the big brother that he never had, and Mr. Saunders recalled Christmas mornings when Mr. Butler would come and help him set up his new train sets that Santa brought him. He described Mr. Butler as a real hero and a good friend. Mr. Butler first attended Eastern Carolina University in 1963 and was a part of the Air Force ROTC there. He lived with three other young men who he quickly became close friends with. I was able to get in contact with one of his roommates, Mr. Bryant, who told me that Mr. Butler was extremely hardworking and mature. He told me that he was a math tutor during his free time and that he was a part of Pi Kappa Phi fraternity. He also said that Mr. Butler would make his bed every morning, he polished his shoes at least twice a week, and he shaved almost every day. And he said that Mr. Butler had a great influence on all their roommates and he influenced everyone around him in positive ways. He also recalled a specific memory of him and Mr. Butler going hunting together, and Mr. Bryant asked Mr. Butler why he refused to shoot a deer, and Mr. Butler said deer were too pretty to shoot unless you were starving and needed food to stay alive. So, sometime during Mr. Butler's time at Eastern Carolina University, he married a woman named Mary. I could not find anything about this marriage or this woman online except for the memorial that she left for her husband on the Wall of Faces website. Her name is now Mary Butler Anderson, and she has been remarried for 51 years. Um, and on the Wall of Faces website, she said that Mr. Butler loved the Marines, he loved flying, and he never refused to serve his country, and that she will always be proud of him. So, Mr. Butler enlisted in the U.S. Marine Corps after his time at Eastern Carolina University, and he began his tour in Vietnam on April 21st, 1969, where he worked as a pilot for the Marines. He had the rank of first lieutenant while he was in Vietnam. And twice during his service in Vietnam, he was awarded the Distinguished Flying Cross Medal from U.S. President Richard Nixon. And both times these medals were awarded to him because of his heroic actions while flying his aircraft. He was able to rescue several Marine troops and bring reinforcements to Marine troops on the ground. And these awards were awarded on August 25th, 1969, and only a few months later on August 5th, 1969. And this is just a full copy of both rewards, which were granted by the US president. Tragically, Mr. Butler did die on December 28th, 1969. He was aboard a flight as the aircraft commander, along with 9 other members of the US military. And these 10 men were flying in treacherous weather conditions, and they miscalculated their in-flight altitude and lost all means of communication. And their aircraft ended up flying into High Van Pass and crashing into a mountain. And this crash did kill all 10 men who were on board. And Mr. Butler's college friend, Mr. Bryant, said that he knows that without a doubt, Mr. Butler died doing what he loves most, which was flying and trying to save as many Marine lives as possible. And Mr. Butler is still remembered today as an American hero. He is buried in the Olive Branch United Methodist Church Cemetery in Brunswick County, Virginia, and his name is also inscribed in the Vietnam War Memorial, which is located in Washington, D.C.